So in the upper right, in the blues, playing for Aftermath, the best Infernal player coming out of the Americas, coming out of NA. His name is TheoRy. And the bottom left, in the red, on the newly buffed Vanguard faction, in the red, is Mixu. Ooh. Try not to drag school here. So we are now, this is actually some of the first games, some of the first real games that I've seen on the new patch. I've played some, I am struggling in this matchup, but I was struggling in this matchup before the patch. So you know, hard to really tell. I think a lot of the ideas about how Vanguard was playing or how Infernals were playing before the patch are just not there anymore. Obviously, Weavers have been nerfed significantly, so there is that, but I've been getting kind of A-moved by Vulcans a little bit, which is unfortunate. Weavers are supposed to be the answer to that, but when you have enough of them, bonus damage versus light is a powerful thing, and everything does melt, which is probably a failure on my part. Let's be real. But we have seen Vanguard win rates go up very significantly, both against Infernals and, well, against Infernals specifically. I've seen some players talking about going Mass Brute Hellborn with a couple Gaunts for Infest, just as a, I want to make sure that this percentage damage is happening. I want to get the conversions if possible. But, ooh, wait, never mind, that's a scout. I was like, oh, you can kill the Lancer, but I'm in I'm in VVV mode at the moment, not in anything else. So it is also very difficult, as Floophead is saying, yeah, it's the brute change. It's also, creeping is a lot harder than it used to be, especially if there's a scout on top of you. You lose, like, Fiends lost about a third of their HP. Brutes also decided to do a rave instead of kill things. Brutes are also buffed and nerfed in equal measure. On the one hand, they are more expensive. On the other hand, they actually all go and generally attack. They don't derp quite as much. So, you know, it's a pro and a con here. But now Speed Fiends are going to try to get on top of this army in the middle. But there is not enough here, I don't think. Not with these Lancers. Bobs, of course, don't really fight all that much. Well, actually, maybe not. As I take a look at this army, certainly Mixu is going to try to cat out on this. But without a turret, I don't... He was trying to go turret rush the middle, but I don't think that's going to be super effective. So Mixu is just going to have to run away for the time being, and the army of TheoRy continues to rally across, only now getting his natural. So that's not, again, or I should say that that's not a, his economy is not quite what we thought it was going to be. Instead, he is going and very much committing off of barracks or off of Vault Conclave production, producing things on the map as much as possible. It means his economy is incredibly far behind if he doesn't go and jack a lot of these creeps. Brutes being weaker makes Vanguard play so much less safe. I was going to say, I think it really is more of the Fiends. The big issue is that your creeping is a lot more... well, okay, there are a couple issues, but the big issue with Infernal players early game right now is your creeping is a lot more harassable. It is very hard with the scout stat to go to properly creep even your first camp. Not impossible, but it is more difficult. But for now, as we see this meat farm try to go up, it's not going to go up. There's a buzzsaw turret there. It was overcharged through. That is a bit of a problem. That being said, as we take a look at this, certainly there's no plague axes, but this Infernal army is going to find their way into the natural and start to get some damage done. But I am so worried about the Lancer collapse, which we're seeing right now. We're going to see a buzzsaw turret go up as well. But the big deal is these Gaunts are just, they're okay. They're not great. They really aren't all that much. So buying time, Lancers are going to try to get on top of the Gaunts. And good news for TheoRy, this is his health camp. Good news for TheoRy, he's able to go and regenerate back up. That's not something that the Lancers have access to. It's Real Speedy Bozer saying it's like when people don't realize that Brutes are Fiends. When Fiends are nerfed, Brutes are nerfed. This is true. For now, though, I mean, I even though this is on an effigy with some healing, yeah, this is not a fight. There are too many Lancers there. Lancers, well, I think also because of the Lancer changes, or because of everything else. Lancers actually weren't changed really in this balance patch, but going open in Conclave with how much more expensive Brutes are, like getting early Gaunts is great against things like the early health camp, the early speed camp. But you kind of get A-moved by Lancers. Floophead, I don't believe he stole the camp. Like he didn't steal the reward from the camp. He just stole the healing area, which allowed him to go and sustain a little bit more. By the way, seems like the buzzsaw turret was killed. Mixu was not able to go and really do much of what he wanted with that one. So middle map, Therium camp there. We'll go off to Theory. Ha, Therium. Yeah, not the bounty. Also, more consistent damage is a nerf. Depends on how it works, Floophead. Because on the one hand, when I say more consistent damage with the brutes, I'm saying that they are more likely to actually bring their damage to bear. So it's more consistent that they're able to get the damage off instead of, well, okay, it's more damage. It's, you know, damage on average is higher, but it doesn't burst as much. It's a little bit of a different story. For now, when Magmadon, it gets added in. Bonus damage for heavy on the stomp is a pretty solid thing, as they're all going to try to get on top of this buzzsaw cannon, and it's just going to go down immediately. But that is still buying some time. We got Plague Axes, so the Gaunts are able to fight a little bit more. And again, the Lancers, they're just trying to do what they can to kill the Gaunts off. Are they going to kill the brutes? Not incredibly well. Are they going to kill the Magmadons? Not really. But behind this, Mixu just continues to build more and more and more. I don't see a lot of, like, there's no high command on the way, which I kind of expected. And this actually is going to get taken down. So it's funny. I look at this and I thought the early game went pretty gosh darn well. All things considered, I think the early game went fairly well for Mixu. He was able to get his natural up. He was able to contest some of these camps. Ooh, Machine Lab gets canceled there. He wanted a Hangar Bay. He wants to get to tier 3, is I think the obvious decision right now. But yeah, Hangar Bay wasn't really gonna, or excuse me, Machine Lab wasn't gonna do anything for him at all. Ariel saying, still interesting play by Theory. Now meta is to Conclave, Shrine, Rush G2, and go Insta Weavers, mass expanding behind it. When I was playing with Weavers, again, this was new into the patch. I didn't have things optimized, certainly not. I was finding that with the effectively Weavers losing about a third of their effective HP, I was finding that was a big deal. I was finding that just made them feel really bad. But, you know, it could just be a lack of skill. Bluebed saying, Theory just makes stuff. That's always been his style. Just make a bunch of everything in Flame Imps. Okay, you can actually go Machine Lab tier 3 and then sell immediately. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that. That's kind of cool, Floopad. Where is our Ritual Chamber? By the way, we know it exists. We got Plague Axes from it. Where is our Ritual Chamber? There it is. Talking about Flame Imps, 20, 30 seconds from completion. So there is that, as a drop goes into the main base as well. So Theory, again, early game was a lot better. I think early game was a lot better for Mixu at this point. But for now, Theory's he's got a lot more room, and he's going to try to get some of these Gaunts out, some of these Imps out. They don't have Flaming Imp done. So a little bit jumping the shark, just a tiny bit. Jumping the shark, but the attack doesn't get a lot. It doesn't really seem to get a ton done. Yeah, we're still on, well, actually, maybe a reasonable amount of Therium Bobs went down. I don't know. But now we got a Hornet out. So there is some dedicated anti-air available for Mixu. He continues to move forward. His high command is done. Are we building Graven? Yes, we are. Graven. It's funny, depending on which Vanguard player you talk to, they're either going to tell you that Graven are really good or just about the worst thing ever. These Bobs do not want to be here. In fact, you cannot afford to lose this amount of your perspective economy just like that. So they're going to get pulled back. Bobs pulled away from the main base as well. Hornets are going to try to chase these down. And the question is, how effective will they be? Bob Overcharge, or excuse me, not Bob Overcharge, that is available too, but Flame On is going to try to find some value, and not really getting a lot, actually. Not really. Nice defense, really nice defense coming out of Mixu, and this attack into the main base, Theory's not doing anything with it just yet, and as the Gravens arrive, I don't know that this gets anything done. Yes, we're in a situation where Theory would love to go and make sure and have, or Mixu would love to have a third base. He would absolutely love to have that, but he can't because, well, the pressure on the map is a bit of a pain, but he's starting to get to the point where he has enough stuff to get that extra base. He tried once, was taken down, but he kept most of his Bobs alive, I believe. And now, you know, it's interesting. He obviously wants to take the double Luminite. This is better. I mean, just better overall, and definitely better for Vanguard than it is for Infernals, mainly again because Vanguard are a little bit more happy with not having Therium. They don't need as much. Yeah, you need some for Graven, and evacs can be expensive, but other than that, you know, your basic units, you're not quite as Therium starved. So now we enter the stage of the game, and that is something that Artosis is not a fan of. This kind of NPC creeping stage, which I had a whole video about this actually, where I was talking about how I think the issue is not the presence of creeps or the lack thereof, or really even map size. I think more than anything else, although I do agree with Artosis that maps on average are just a little too complicated. There's too much stuff to do, so players are less incentivized to play against each other because there's just too much stuff to do. But I think the bigger issue is we're going to see some sticky bombs go out and do a reasonable amount of damage. I think the bigger issue is the creep camp placement, and I've been railing against this thing for a while, where if you look at this map, almost every single, and this is Titan's Causeway, this is a relatively small map, almost all the creep camps are on the edge of the map. There's the one Luminite camp in the center that we saw some kind of cool fights over in the early game, and that felt important and impactful. But as this game goes later, again, you're fighting on the Vision camp on the edge and the Therium camp on the edge and all of these useful, theoretically useful things. So that is a bit of an issue, but Graven on the north side, they're going to go infiltrate the hell out of this, and the base is dead. So third base is dead, or excuse me, Therium base is dead. A lot of the mobs have gone down, as well as we're going to see infiltration go down on some of these vaults. Anything you can go do is really useful, just killing off all the structures, and Mixu's gonna have to back out on the right side. Can't quite get what he wants to get done, but the important power of these Graven on top of being able to kill structures fairly quickly, which is a very nice power tool in your Runby kit. The big deal, as we can see this drop go down and really not get a lot done, all things considered. The powerful tool is it means you can shut down top bars for quite a while, which means no defensive tools. No infests, no Shroudstone Manifestation, nothing like that available for TheoRy right now, as Mixu will deal with the drop on the other side. He took some damage from it. Ember TL saying game basically stops as both guys start creeping. Yeah, see, that's Ember. You need to separate creep placement from the concept of creeps themselves, right? And I agree. I think the bigger issue, and you say, oh, you know, the game slows down. God, these sticky bombs are so oppressive. You say, okay, well, you know, in the last 10 seconds. Yes, Adamo Sweet Potato, this is true. As big Hellborn shots are going to go in. But man, Mixu's position, he's doing such a good job of separating this fight with the sticky bombs that I think it is going to be, it's not the easiest fight to take. We're getting rapidly to a point where Graven are just going to be able to jump on top of these Hellborns. For right now, they do have to get up because the sticky bombs, well, they apply friendly fire as well. But these guys, man, these Graven are doing a lot of damage. Just a lot of damage. But the point I was going to make is, so the issues with camps on the, and actually I didn't elucidate this properly in the video I put out, but not only is the issue with creep camps that they're on the edge of the map and therefore you're playing on the edges, that means you're not playing towards your opponent, but also the other, as we're going to see, meat farms, I mean, there's so many Graven here. The damage versus light is, yeah, flaming imps are not going to do anything to this. But the other thing is that when you have to go creep, like we're seeing TheoRy do right now, or we saw behind him do a little bit earlier, sticky bombs just blowing everything sky high, and we can see here Weavers have much less HP than they used to, so they're just dying as well. You're also forcing, when you go creep, you're being forced to seed the map, or to seed your position on the map. You want to go get your health camp back up again, as we can see the health camp's not getting retaken after the early game. There's a reason for that. It's because you got to go back home, and with how difficult tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 creep camps can be, with how much of a pain that is, it's like, well, I got to dedicate a lot of my army to make this happen. I got to dedicate a lot of my army to recreep, and that means I have to give up positions on the map, which doesn't feel really all that good. So that's kind of the other problem with the camps on the edge, is you have to seed position. And it's not this type of scenario as, running through that sticky tar is maybe not the play. But yeah, again, the other thing is like, yeah, I got to seed your position on the map, which also slows things down. So if we had like this camp, the Luminite camp, and then maybe a camp right here and a camp right here, maybe 2 speed camps or something, I don't know, and then put the health camp here, but maybe cut the trees down and make it so this is only you take it once and you hold it. Your opponent can contest it to remove it from you, but they cannot go take it for themselves. I think that is a potentially far more interesting map. For now, though, we got Graven drops. Triple evacs. They do not have their upgrades. They do not move 25% faster, but that's fine because they're going to show up in the main base and they're going to try to snipe this Elder Shrine. Blinks right in. We're going to see. There we go. Matt would not even mass infiltrate, but they're all going to infiltrate. Bombs are, or excuse me, Flaming Imps are going to try to kill it. Are they going to get it down in time? They are successful. That is a massive deal. Not only does TheoRy keep his Elder, not only does TheoRy keep his top bar, that was what, 6 Graven all getting taken down. Big swing there coming out. And yes, Mixu's still in a reasonably good supply position. His economy's still doing great. But shutting that down and killing off a couple of the evacs as well is a massive deal. Especially when TheoRy is so... I mean, his Therium income is bad. Main base, mined out. Natural, reasonably saturated. Third base, reasonably saturated. But, you know, he's not mining off the fourth base just yet. So, you know, again, when we talk about money here, the reason I'm bringing this up is that TheoRy is very close. TheoRy is very close to getting his dragon on the map. We are... Well, actually, he spent some animus, so he's not quite as close as he was. But he was 5 animus short and like 500 luminite short, plenty of Therium. Adding the dragon in, even though fiends are not as much of a meat shield as they used to be, adding the dragons in, it just adds so much damage off the top, makes life so much more difficult for the Vanguard player. And now this extra base that Mixu's trying to take, not going to be allowed. We do have this drop. 6 more Graven are going to try to show up into the main base, but now there are some Shroud Stones. There's some Wraith Stones as well, but the sticky bombs, those are going to be a problem. That is a... First of all, it slows down a lot. It slows down mining. It also does a lot of damage. It also means that these imps, as they flame on, they're not going to be able to accomplish a lot. Infest is not really going to hit this well, but there's one Spriggan's doing a very nice job zoning things out. Bonus damage versus heavy. These evacs, they are heavy units. They're going to be forced out of there once again. And again, this harassment, yes, it's going to kill some imps. And given the Luminite income, that is still a problem, but it could be worse. TheoRy could have lost a lot of his setup as more Graven are going for these run-bys. And there's no tower here. There's no detection here, really, but it's not going to get a ton. It's going to go and get a meat farm, but you know, it's going to kill, and a couple imps technically because they explode, but that's actually pretty reasonable. And there we go. Now Magmadons are starting to do some work. Big, well, only a couple lashes. Only a couple lashes on these Raven. The big value of the Weaver from the high ground is that it's a detector. You can see things. Yes, invisibility is not like StarCraft. It's not invincibility. But they're still not interactable until they're detected. So they are going to get detected. The Graven are going to get forced out as Flaming Imps are going to try to get on top. Nice connection. But Mixu's doing such a nice job of just... Apparently, you can infiltrate an effigy, and that's going to take that down. That is very funny. But man, these Gravens are just swarming everywhere. Fiends aren't going to do much of anything. And I find it really interesting. I find it very surprising that we're not seeing a dragon on the field. Maybe that's just too much of an immobile unit. I'm not sure. Not exactly. I don't know what TheoRy's logic is here, but he's going to get a couple more Graven, which is always, well, you know, Graven are light units, even if they do bonus damage versus light. But they're light units, so they're going to get taken down and buy all of these, buy all the gaunts. And TheoRy now, because he had to go rotate over to the right side with more of his army, he's going to get the vision camp, and that is very nice. But he's given up a lot of position on the north side. And yes, this Wraithstone, I mean, we can see just how much area it's covering. It is these Wraithstones are a lot of power on the field. But TheoRy now has the money for a dragon. He's sitting here, he's kind of he's kind of supply blocked. That's a bit of a problem. 157 out of 155, so not really able to do all that much. He's got to get a bunch of meat farms down. Not exactly sure where he's building them, but yeah, meat farms down somewhere. And if you take a look at the setup, now Magmadons, excuse me, not Magmadons, Hellborn have Molten Touch. So that means damage is going to stick to these units a little bit more. I don't think there are any med techs on the field. But these Draven are relatively tanky. Level 1 has 220 HP. Well, excuse me, level 0 is 220 HP. Goes up a little bit more than that. 290 at level 2. So they're rather tanky. No, Magmadon gets a really good shot on these evacs, but we can see how much damage, the burst damage done here. These Weavers are going down, and once the Weavers go down, it's a lot harder to take these fights because of that mass cloaking. Again, once they fight, they leave the cloak. But even still, it just makes it hard to track things and deal damage from afar, which is what you want to do. Infest is going to go down. We're going to see sticky bombs on top of all these Hellborn, and that means their DPS is going to be removed in the extreme. I think this might finally be the opportunity that Mixu's been looking for. Gravens get on top, messing around with all the AI, and these Hellborn are going to evaporate here. Are they heavy units or are they light units? No, they're not. There's nothing to defend them. And they do not fire fast enough, especially with Sticky Bomb, to really get what they want to get done. TheoRy is kind of dead here in this game number 1. Master Pair, and Atlas joins the fray as well, because Atlases are very, very good against the Hellborn. Sentinel adds that much more. And at this point, Mixu's got his extra base on top of things. At this point, I don't really know what TheoRy is supposed to do. He's down about 100 supply. He never got the dragon. He never got the dragon. And at this point, yeah, I mean, Hellborn on the high ground are really nice. They're really hard to contest, but there's just not enough stuff here. TheoRy desperately needed this Luminite base, and he's not going to be able to hold on to it. This game is over, guys. 71 supply to 188. Atlas, of course, share a range with the Hellborn, and Atlas bonus damage versus heavy. Hellborn are heavy. They do bonus damage to structures. Atlas just counter them in a significant way. Atlas just counter the Hellborn. So without that being there, maybe some Flaming Imps. We've seen TheoRy make some incredible comebacks, but Flaming Imps when you're down 100 supply, not enough. Not nearly enough. So this Atlas forward, getting microed out very nicely with the number of evacs that Mixu has. Yeah, this game is long over. People really forget how AoE works when working with Hellborn. Hellborn are weird AoE, right? Because it's not an area around the unit. It's the cone behind them. It's a little bit different. And Denver was saying that Graven are weak in battle. I think it really depends on playstyle. I think it really does depend on playstyle. Dragon's out now, but that is wishful thinking. Absolutely wishful thinking. This single dragon is not going to counter this game, is not going to save this game. 3 Weavers and a dragon are not going to save this game. And, you know, power to TheoRy, he's trying to hold on to this thing as long as he can. But, yeah. Piroka HD asking, who is Denver? StarCraft 2 content creator. Former StarCraft 2 pro that is now, at times, has been the best Vanguard player on the ladder. I don't believe he is at the moment, but he is the Supernova account on the ladder, if that's what you're familiar with. Oh yes, also I always forget about this. I think of infiltrate as something that goes and is useful because it kills structures, shuts down top bar. But it is important to point out as well that you steal a decent amount every time you infiltrate. You steal Luminite, you steal resources. And considering TheoRy has been just Luminite starved this entire game, that is also very important to point out. Mana's the best Vanguard versus Celestial. Mixu the best Vanguard versus Infernal, in my opinion, right now. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I'm not making any statements on current play, Ariel. I'm saying at times, like the patch or the playtest before early access, and in times in early access as well, Denver has been the best Vanguard on ladder. Although some people may argue that that was in fact because Denver just abused the scouts a little bit too much when they became super broken, and after, what was it, the first, yeah, no, early access, and then through the first balance patch when they were just way too broken. So TheoRy's trying to make a souffle out of a single egg. You know, he's trying to earn his Michelin star with his vanishingly small army, and more power to him. TheoRy is very much one of these players that never... Hey, Gen Pilot, I could have sworn you had followed before this, but welcome back. We're welcome. Fireball saying 70 supply to 170, and TheoRy's still holding on. What a legend. Rooting for Mixu, though. Yeah, I think Titans is a pretty bad map for Infernals. Actually, I think it... Yes, that was Mixu's first map pick. It's a pretty bad map for Infernals because of A, how few bases there are, and B, how inaccessible the extra Therium is. Which, by the way, there is no available Therium on the map for TheoRy at this point. That 98 he has is the only 98 he will have, which means Flaming Imps are going to be very inaccessible. He has killed these nodes. There are only 4 nodes available to his side of the map, and that just is not going to cut it. I mean... The Nightfall is good. The Dragon is out. Well, actually, these Hedgehogs on the high ground with Transonic Rockets are starting to shred a little bit. And now TheoRy's gonna tap out. He held on a lot longer than I think he had any right to. But he killed off some bases. Long and short of it, though, is that Mixu is up 1-0 here in this series. So now that we're into game 2, TheoRy fought long and hard in game number 1, and really, I don't know that he ever had a chance to come back, but he did kill a base, and you know that is admirable. That is admirable. This map is a lot nicer though for Infernal players. You got a reasonably accessible double Therium. You can go you get 4 Therium, you know, not too bad, but also it's just a bigger map. It is just a bigger map. It's more wide open. There are more camps, which the more camps there are, that also benefits Infernal players a little bit because they are better at creeping early. All that together means, and also they're just less narrow areas, so it's a little bit easier to get your concaves and deal with the, as Floophead said, the DPS density of the Vanguard, able to deal with that one just a little bit more. TheoRy tries to go snipe the slime, not able to make that happen, and there's the natural on the way. Mashed Up Meatball saying, I think it would be nice to have a 4th one, more choice, fewer mirror matchups. I think it would be a way for Stormgate to distance itself a bit from StarCraft 2, which I think would be good. Those are all excellent reasons. I'm of the opinion right now that says, you know, don't try to sprint before you can walk. And Stormgate has made these mistakes in the past and trying to sell itself as something more than it is. Which, you know, they may have felt they had to do that to make sure that they got people in the door. I don't know. But going for a 4th faction before, say, the 3 factions or the 3 factions we have are fully fleshed out, and at least one campaign is good, not just done, but is good, and we have co-op fleshed out to where it needs to be, and the custom map editor done, and all of these pillars, team mayhem ready to go, like all of these pillars of Stormgate that they've been talking about, custom maps, right? Campaign, 1v1, cooperative team play. Those have to get done first, and then maybe, you know, 2 years down the line, they introduce a 4th race. There's something comes out. That'd be kind of cool. But I think it is much more important. In fact, I don't think that Celestials should be out right now. It's kind of my lukewarm take. That's kind of my, I guess, my lukewarm take more than anything, because I think that they would have been better served by really fleshing out Vanguard versus Infernals, and then dropping Celestials at some point in early access with a little bit more room to flesh that out as well with internal testing. I understand that they wanted to have 3 factions on early access release. You know, I understand that they felt that was kind of a core promise that they had to deliver on. But I think staying Vanguard Infernal a little bit longer might have, and fleshing those out more might have been maybe a little bit more useful. Yeah, you don't have to babysit as much as well, talking about Boneyard, as Ismazbek says. A real saying, I don't know why TheoRy chose Titans. This is the most OP map for Vanguard in the early game because of the health camp. I agree. I also don't know why TheoRy chose Titans. I'll ask him after this game, probably. We'll see. For now, though, I got double racks for Mixu. He's developing in a little bit. And I'm going to keep coming back to the Artosis new maps and the things he's talking about, and, you know, my pet theories as well. Because I think Boneyard is a very good example. Yeah, I know Titans is, I was talking about map 1, Ariel. I said, I don't know why TheoRy chose Titans. I also don't know that. I'll have to ask him afterwards. I know this is Boneyard. I know the Stormgate community is of the opinion that I don't know which map is Boneyard. Is Broken Crown Boneyard? I don't know. But no, I'm well aware that this is Boneyard. As TheoRy's now going to go try to take this camp. He should be able to do so, but these Lancers on top of things. Certainly the Hexen's going to fall down. And he's gonna, yeah, nice body blocking there. It's only a single Gaunt, but Gaunts are not as cheap as you might expect them to be, right? It's a 125-25. That is expensive in the early game. And the Scout doing such a nice job there on the body blocking, making sure that he got a couple extra Gaunts that, you know, he might not have otherwise gotten. But anyways, as we can kind of see right here, this map is a big map. And it means in the late game, it's a very cool map in the late game. But because, you know, we can see right here, we're going to see a Buzzsaw turret and a bunch of Lancers. Players, there's so much for players to do. Take the Vision Camp, take the Energy Camp, take, you know, and we saw some interaction there. They tried to take the Vision Camp. TheoRy was not able to really do that. But, you know, there's no interaction until four bases or so. Albino, you're saying go to main base of Mixu. He's got a central command. Was there a drop that I... Is there a drop that I missed? Are we spamming T-Tours right now? Something happened blue on the map. Are you sure you're not looking at the water here? Yes, I was too busy pontificating on map design. I do apologize, friends. Yes, and there we have Delirious Hex. The man who figured out that promotion is actually really good for Bobs also. Or Delirious, I guess. Delirious Hex. Also, who is memeing me on the Stormgate subreddit. Just the skull scouting or something. Okay. Really, we haven't seen a lot of tech development. I mean, we have seen a little bit, right? But there's no Twilight or there's no Spire. So no real opportunity to go and really get a ton of draft pressure on. I guess the most that happened was maybe a couple fiends ran by, but didn't really accomplish a lot. As for now, well, no high command on the way just yet. Groups are going to get taken now. Yeah, there we go. And the Illuminite camp goes down, and this is where life gets a little bit interesting, because as an Infernal player, you need this base. Single Therium is bad. Triple Therium, very good. It is some very simple calculus. And, well, these Lancers, they do bonus damage versus buildings, so that is going to get canceled off. And I don't think this army from TheoRy can actually just fight this number of Lancers right now. They don't even have kinetic redirect. It's just a lot of big beefy boys. And that is surprisingly a problem. But Flame Imp is here and it's going to try to make contact. Not really able to make that happen. And now the Lancers, they're going to run. Yes, splash damage is nice. And, healing camp. Okay. Healing fruit. I actually think they should remove healing fruits from the map. All things considered. Ooh, look at the sentry post. Oh, Mixu. Gonna be probably a flak turret just for the range. Probably an extra turret just for the range. Zuki Radio saying, IvV, guys, it's Boneyard. I know what Boneyard is. Rushy messaged me last night. He's like, Beo, you don't know what Boneyard is? Like, it's our bone zone. What's the problem? Oh, this is actually super cool, by the way. I want to point this out. So, Mixu has the vision tower, which gives you a little vision on the high ground. And with these flak cannons, it means he's able to go and just deny mining on the natural. And he's denied mining on this base as well. TheoRy's economy is in a horrible, horrible spot. This flak turret rush is abusive as hell. And I love it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it as an Infernal player. But as a Vanguard, or as a fan of Stormgate, I think it's super cool. So we're going to see a bunch of Fiends go, or a bunch of Imps go use. They explode. They take these turrets down. And that's going to remove some of this. But that was 75 Therium down the drain, and realistically, that's 75 Therium that TheoRy didn't really have. Not really. Flaming Imps are going to try to turn themselves on. Splits are going to be good for Mixu for the time being, and that doesn't really accomplish a lot. And now that's, what is that, 150 Therium down the drain as well? The Harbinger doesn't get much done, and the splits are good. And there's a healing turret on the med station. Oh, this is actually so cool. Mixu taking strong advantage of his situation. Now, we got a bunch of Imps. They're going to show up. They're going to try to make contact, whatever they can. But we got walls of Lancers, buying time as much as possible. Fiends coming in from the backside, and those are the explosions that we're looking for. The med turret, med station will fall down. A lot of this push for Mixu is slowing down. And it does hurt. That pretty much as this fight happened, the Shadow Demons, they pop back up on the map once again, which also, you know, sometimes they aggro on units, but also that vision that Mixu was pushing around is not really available anymore. So naturals roughly saturated. We got the double Theriums starting to saturate a little bit more. Third base on the way, but not a lot of money there. Real speedy posts are, so my issue with healing flowers is, first of all, they make the Hex and Scout interaction just really annoying. Not necessarily imbalanced, just not fun to play. But on top of that, they make learning the map too strong. Like if you don't, if you come back from, if you haven't played Stormgate in a couple weeks and you don't have the healing flower location memorized, it's extra complexity that is an additional barrier to come back into the game. And that's kind of my issue with it, more so than flavor or anything else. I think it's one layer of complexity too much on map design right now. So that's kind of why I'm against it. Not necessarily because of any unit interaction reason, although I am annoyed more than anything else about dealing with the you know, you're fighting a scout and it goes and heals back up. It's like, okay, this didn't matter in the early game, but it's more about kind of how can you come back into the game? Is the map too complicated or not? Yeah, the cabbage needs some sort of the healing flower needs some sort of indicator on that minimap. That's fair. The healing lettuce, says Senna. I love that we're seeing Vanguard players make use of this a little bit more, but med stations out of combat are like two healing camps. You regenerate 8 HP per second. And you know, when you're looking at a 500 HP unit, maybe. Healing flower needs to actually work on ruination. Yeah, I think a lot of them they're blocked off by doodads, right? You got to cut the trees down all around them to properly take advantage, something like that. I mean, Psionic saying that a healing lettuce will last longer than some British PMs. That is a very low bar, Psionic. That is an extremely low bar. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I was going to say, why are we infiltrating this? Why don't we just kill it? But yeah, you steal some money off of TheoRy, which is always going to be very nice. And now up onto the high ground. This is a well-positioned shrine, so the harass is a little bit less effective. Oh, nice connection there on some of the flaming imps. And we're going to see Shroudstone manifest as well. Sticky bombs just stacked together to try to take this down. And they will be successful in doing so. Magmadons, of course, no stuns. Just kind of get a couple of them to clear the Lancers as much as you can. Yeah, I do feel... Maybe I'm wrong here, but it does feel a little bit weird that you can steal money from effigies. They're not real buildings. You don't spend money to make them, so... You probably shouldn't be able to infiltrate them to take the money. Maybe that's a controversial opinion. I don't know. But yeah, AT scrolls. That bunker rush was very cool. Allowed Mixu to trade rather nicely. But now what are we looking at here? So now is the game, and I love what I'm seeing. So one of the goals of the last patch, 0.1.3, which, you know, is not totally there, but was fairly reasonable, was they want to enable more harass. Right now, the game 0.1 really the game up until this point has not really gone and rewarded. Oh, the sticky bomb. Good luck making contact there. But the game has not really rewarded. The game hasn't really rewarded multitasking because Shroudstone Manifest, Bob Overcharge, Sovereign's Watch, not in this map, but these topper defensive abilities and just defensive tools in general were too strong. They would go just, you know, one blast node would defend an entire base way too much. Is he Gravener? Oh, a little bit of a dicey situation there, but that's a lot of imps to sacrifice. Point being, static defensive top bar was way too strong. So I'm loving we are still very early days into this new patch. We are not even a weekend. But I am... Oh, you can dodge the Hellborn shots. I didn't know that. That's super cool. We are still very early days. As the Shadow Flyer providing a little bit of detection, making it... Well, okay, now it's dead. But making sure you get an extra shot on the Hellborn. That is useful. Yeah, we're still early days in this new patch. We're going to get... Next week, Tank is going to have Ruination, so we're going to see some new maps. But we are already seeing a lot more multi-prong, a lot more harassment. We're seeing... Unfortunately, we did see the Harbinger get taken down. I don't know if there's one right now, but we're seeing Graven all over the map and TheoRy having to defend and all these things. It's a lot. I think the game's getting a little bit more interesting. I don't know that it's 100% where we as people that want Stormgate to do well and that maybe just enjoy the game. I don't know that that is exactly where we want to be just yet. I don't know that the game is 100% enabling multi-pronging effectively, rewarding multitasking enough. But I am very excited. I'm emboldened that we are seeing a little bit more of this. But yes, they also sticky bombs also slow attacks, production speed, things like that. Sticky bombs are just real good. They're the equivalent of binding saliva, but they actually do damage as well. Like, they are real good. As now Sentinels are getting added in, which means you can lock down some of these powerful units. But nice double lash right there. And was that a Harbinger that I think just flew in and got immediately taken down? It might have been. But for now, I mean, man, when you get to this number of Graven, the Weavers don't stand a chance whatsoever. And just look how the Magmadon, totally useless. Maybe if you had Raging Tendons, which you're not, because you haven't gotten even the first upgrade. Maybe if you got Raging Tendons, that would be useful. But as it stands, I mean, slows make Magmadons so... Oh no, the crab legs, they're moving so fast and they're going so... They're not going anywhere. Is someone casting MSR and Albino? I don't know. Poriforan, maybe Tukatai. So TheoRy he's had an opportunity now to develop maybe even more economy than he did last time. His Flaming M Runby is actually, look at what he's doing. Nightfall Infestation. Now he's going to flame on, and that's just a bunch of fiends to enable the rest of this Runby. That is very cool. There still is this sentry post. We got a couple tier 3 mobs that are going to make life a little bit more difficult. So the sentry posts are going to show up now. Yeah, they're just going to repair turret. I was going to say, like, there's nothing to go into them, but even still, now we're going to have this fight in the middle. And I think, yeah, there we go. Just target the sentinels down. That lockdown ability is so strong. But finally, there is a I really like. So there's some of the changes I don't really like. You know, well, I think some changes should be a little bit more possible. I think Magmadon should be unslowable, probably, or at least give them an upgrade to make them unslowable. But I love the change with the Hellborn. Finally, there is MSR. I'm saying, yes, okay. So apparently Tukatai is casting the other one. I love the change with the Hellborn. That means they're viable anti-air units now. It means that in general, you're not going to save that one. It means that in general, anti-air exists for Infernals in a way that it didn't really before. Shadow Flyers try to get on top. This is not a good position to fight in. It is so choked up, but maybe. Effigy goes down for just a second, and this Atlas fire is withering. Remember, Atlases are just better siege units than anything that the Infernal player has. They share range, and they do 40 more damage. Well, 34, what is it? 30 more damage, actually. No, I'm sorry. They do 120 damage versus 50. They do 3 times as much damage to each other. Magmadon or Hellborn do 50 damage to Atlases. Hellborn take 120. It is a big, big deal. But for now, the army is going to continue to run forward. We're looking at, we have enough Animus. We don't quite have enough Therium. Not quite enough Luminite to get our Dragon up, which is what you're looking for. And also Mixu, because he has this map control in the center, he's taking both sides. TheoRy has to know this is happening. He has to go and get this base. Because if Mixu's going to be allowed, in general, for the most part, Vanguard's going to trade a little bit better. And if Vanguard not only trades better, but takes the base from the Infernal, I mean, this is the stories. This is what we've learned from late game TVZ for quite a while now. Look at these Atlas. They're just friendly fire there. Graven doesn't want to go down on this one, but the base is going to go down, and without any Shadow Flyers, nothing to really chase this down. This is going to be a difficult thing to deal with now. Yes, some of these Atlases are going to get lashed. Dragon is finally out now. We got a couple imps thinking about going to take this base. Shroudstone on the way, but I think Bob's just going to be able to pull their way into that. It may be overcharged, but this Shroudstone will not complete. You have to send army units, or in this case, you got to send a dragon over to go and defend that one. So there's going to send the dragon as we take a look. He does have it's kind of important to point out, I forget what it's called, but he does have the shroud upgrade now, which means that he has a lot more per effigy per structure on the map. He's got a lot more power. He's got a lot more map control, a lot more area on the map that he can properly fight with. What are these? These evacs are not where they want to be. But with Shadow Flyers and the Dragon, for now, this is doing a reasonable job of taking this base down. It's going to take a while, but for now, this base will get taken out. Of course, Headshot, I love this. Is like the distinctly Mixu thing. Once the Dragon comes out, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to get transonic rockets on my Hedgehogs, and I'm going to put 4 of them per evac. I'm going to get a couple evacs, and I'm just going to go and hot drop on top of the Dragon every single time. It is so cool to see that happen. So we're going to see, yep, this base is going to go down once again. There's nothing. Well, Baba Imp's going to flame on. Yep, they will. So Infiltrate's not going to take the base down. It lose 100 Therium, but I think you're okay with the result of this one. I think that is fine. You got yourself 3 Graven. You didn't lose the base. That is very, very important. But TheoRy, despite clearing this base from his opponent, is not trying to go kill it. Or not trying to go take it, which I think is a problem. Because, I mean, we look at TheoRy's economy right now. Main base mined out. Natural is not mined out yet, but it's gonna mine out soon. The amount of money that has been mined by TheoRy right now. Ooh, this is a dangerous flank coming on in. Nightfall is going to get dropped down on everything. Flaming and flank. Look at that. My goodness. Mixu way overcommitted onto that push 100% and just gets annihilated. 40 supply goes down in the blink of an eye, and that means this base is not going to allow it to get up, certainly, but I want to know if TheoRy can get more. If he can go take this base down, if he can go start to get on top of some of this production that Mixu has had set up for himself, because this, not only was that a ton of fiends now that do 1 more damage per attack, they do a lot more DPS. Not only is that the case, that was a lot of anti-air that's going to go down. Accessing these other bases means that there's even more fiends that are going to get added in. And by the way, look at these bobs running over. Now that tells TheoRy that, yeah, okay, my opponent is going to go take another base. He has taken this base. He's sending bobs over there for a reason. But TheoRy's not going to go try to contest that anymore. Now he just wants to end the game. That's exactly what he has to do, and I think he might just be able to do it. Yeah, sticky bomb on the ground is going to be really annoying. But fiends are just going to be able to dive on top of these atlases. And Mixu, yeah, one big overcommitment after owning the game for like 17 minutes. Loses everything, fully surrounded. And that means that we get to go to Islet's Red, game number 3. And this has already been a very cool series. So we move into game number 3. We move into game number 3 of this series. Lost Hope, it is a map. Luckily, we have cross spawn, which is the best way you can play Lost Hope. It means you're not running into the merry-go-round of Shadow Mastiffs and speed camps and who wins that, or backdoor attacks with 15 Lancers and kinetic redirect that run through both your bases and kill you. Ask me how I know about that one. That's how I kept trying to make heavy gaunts work on the new patch, and I played a couple times. I just played against this Vanguard who just, you know, I'm going to cut through the trees. I forgot to put a meat farm there, and I died hard. It was bad. It was real bad. Sonic gifting a tier 1 or a tier 1 sub to Farm Man Official. Farmy, I know you're here. Thank you so much. Or thank you so much, Ionic, but also Farmy, welcome. If I was a better streamer, I would have a name for the, I don't know, the Bayo Bunch. Sounds corny. But hope you enjoy the emotes. We have the, oh yeah, Stompy Magmadon. Also Smudge. Smudge is very important. Gaunt Heavy. Oh yeah, okay. Gaunt Heavy as in playing heavily with Gaunts. Understand. Peroka, thanks so much for the Prime Gaming sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Glad you're enjoying the games. The BeoMulf. BeoMulf. I gotta say, I am so excited for the time when I'm gonna get my PhD in a couple months from now, because I'm writing my thesis right now, but I'm going to show up on a tournament and, you know, the host is going to turn to me and they're going to say, Beo, what do you think about this? And I'm going to be like fresh off that defense. And I'm going to be able to turn to them and I'm going to be able to say, it's Dr. Beo to you. And I'll never do it again because that's kind of a dick move, but I want to be able to do it once, damn it. That's what matters. That is absolutely what matters. Sophie's to sub. Thank you so much there for the Prime Gaming sub as well. I really appreciate it. For now, though, we're seeing Mixu do the thing, right? Where I first saw Mana doing this, and I'm not sure whether it was who first started doing this, and it's percolated around at this point. But it's the Buzzsaw Cannon to go take the Luminite camp. Because this Buzzsaw Cannon, 20 armor, it does reasonable damage. It deals with this just fine. It's got a bouncing blade as well. But Mixu is on 1 base right now. He's going for a quick Biolab. Single racks Biolab. Okay, Mixu started it, Ariel is saying. That's good to know. Gauntlet Wizard, 30 months. 30 months is a long time. 2.5 years. It's been a pleasure being on this journey with you, friend. Thank you. And Kira. Guys. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much, guys. Rashmudin asking, does this use the new Artosis maps? Just next week may use the Artosis maps. This week is just using the current ladder map pool, except for Ruination, which makes me a little sad because I would love to see Ruination as, oh, interesting. I thought this was going to be for upgrades, but it's just to unlock medtechs. Very interesting. So this is a rather committed 1 base push coming out of Mixu. He's only on single racks. He's only on the biolab. He's not researching anything because, again, he just wants to go to get med techs. He's going to put a high ground sentry post. Oh, very cool. This doesn't quite put pressure on the natural of TheoRy, but it does give this really powerful redoubt, right? Because we saw this push on 2 bases last time on Boneyard, where he went and he was able to go and have the healing post set up, and that was very cool. Also, this one fiend in the corner denying the Luminite mining. Big deals, actually, because I think Mixu, in his build and his plans for how he was doing this, I think he relied on that Luminite income, and that is no longer there. So all of this together is, we're seeing a bunch of really cool, just small things showing up in this game number 3 that are small optimizations that work out very nicely. Isma's back. Thank you so much for the Prime sub as well. Good to see, as Psionic said, good to see the sub count going right back up again. We're not where we were, but we are certainly closer. And I do appreciate every single one of you. But as Jan Pilot says, yeah, I'm a little worried for Mixu right now. Now, luckily for him, you can go. Hey, casual compete. Thank you as well. Welcome, welcome in. Glad you're enjoying the games we got here today. But luckily, you can overcharge your bobs and build your natural in just about half a second. So that's going to be okay. But this pressure, I don't think it's going to accomplish all that much. Yes, the army of TheoRy is on the map, and that gives an opportunity to kill off a lot of these effigies, which have been nerfed. Effigies are now only 100 HP instead of 200, so they don't stick on the map quite as much as, well, for now, I mean, even with this, of course, these are going to heal at 4 a second because they're in combat. I'm assuming that's Mixu there with the scroll wheel, the scroll wheel flustered. I don't know what better to call the flustered emoji. But remember, so I think it's really surprising that Mixu decided to go for this one base. He's expanding, but going for this one base all in because he's cross spawn. Because he is finally, by the way, this sneaky fiend has been cleaned up. So finally, the Luminite Tower is going to go back in Mixu's favor. And the supplies are not all that bad, right? We got a flak turret on the high ground. We got this med station on the low ground. And realistically, to break this, you're looking for more than just the pure... I almost want to say gateway units. That's not what they are. They're the pure Vault Conclave units, the pure tier 1 units that exist. You want to see Weavers, or you want to see Hellborn. Hellborn do 100 damage to structures. That's very, very nice. Not quite as good as Atlas does. Atlas's do against heavy structures. They do, what is it, 160 damage? Something like that. You know, it's they do 80 plus 40 plus 40. Yeah, they do 160 damage to structures. It's kind of insane, actually. But now Hellborn are starting to hit the field, and that is very nice for TheoRy. He's taking advantage of the second Therium camp now. And even though, I mean, there's no flak turret on this high ground, it's just a buzzsaw turret. And while Vulcans are very solid, especially as they spin up against this army, well, I say even though, but you know, we're gonna see this med turret go down. Vulcan dashes forward a little bit. Buzzsaw doing what it can. But even with this Vulcan doing everything, the bubble is gonna do something. Actually, a lot of the ground units are dead. But now that the ground units are dead, there's no anti-air. We got 4 Spriggans on the map. Bonus damage versus heavy means that you're going to be able to bust these Repairmatics down a little bit easier, especially with a Hellborn. You're going to be able to bust down this Vulcan. And this push with the Spriggans in the air, it's going to take a while to kill this Vulcan. Let's be real for a second. It's rather tanky. Well, in the grand scheme of things. But this push is over. At this point, the binding saliva means that these med techs, it means that the Lancers are slowing down. They're not attacking as fast, but also they're not moving as fast. So everything is just running slowly back home, and TheoRy is doing what he can, and he's doing a very good job of it. Just snowball this into the other side. The idea of a one base all-in cross spawn on Lost Hope doesn't really feel like it was. I feel like Mixu was playing for the map with the command posts and the double Luminite take, but going for cross spawn on this, I just don't think this was the play. So TheoRy is able to withstand, and after a long painful loss and a very cool win, this game goes a lot faster. TheoRy gets to move on to the next round. But of course, if you like this and you want more Stormgate action, as much as I can put it up on YouTube, as much as I can put it up on my Twitch, Make sure to go sub on Twitch. Also follow on Twitch. You know, you do both of those. Sub on YouTube. We got channel memberships available on YouTube as well. That gives me a bit of a higher split if that's what you're interested in doing. But I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.